For cheap D2R items, visit aoeah.com. You get 3% off with the code ARIAT. Check the link in the description. Hello and welcome everybody. Today I've got another Diablo 2 video for you, and this time I've built a Retrodin, using a lot of very classic items. For this build I've decided not to use any rune words, and in the end I aim to equip only unique items, even those which don't get used very often. The build is a classic Zealot, with 20 points in Zeal, Sacrifice and Fanaticism aura. I also put 20 points into Holy Shield and the remaining points into Smite. For the defensive auras I have invested a few points into Salvation. Looking at the attribute points, I have put a decent amount into Strength so that we can use various elite uniques. This also boosts the melee damage. We need enough dexterity to reach max block with Holy Shield. Optionally, we could increase more for a better attack rating. The weapon our Retrodin uses is Schiefer's Hammer, which was very popular before Grief and other rune words came around. It adds max damage and attack rating based on character level, but what makes this weapon special is its 20% chance to cast Static Field on hit. The high lightning resistance is also nice, and since the weapon is indestructible, it doesn't need to be repaired. That's convenient because the paladin tends to break weapons quickly when using Zeal. One reason why people nowadays use Grief in a faceplate, which is also indestructible. The faceplate also has a much better attack speed, something that Schiefer's Hammer unfortunately lacks. For maximum attack speed with Fanaticism, we need 120% IAS. That's why I socketed a Shael rune in it. We should also keep in mind the breakpoints at 90 and 50. The helm is the crown of ages with 2 attack speed damage jewels. With damage reduction, resistances, faster hit recovery and +1 to all skills, the crown is a great all-arounder. The armor is Tyrael Smite, which I'm mainly wearing for style reasons, and to finally give this trophy some purpose. A nice feature is that it grants cannot be frozen, so we don't necessarily need a Ravenfrost. Rest in Peace can also be handy when farming Nilatak, plus the blue color looks pretty cool. Other useful unique armors would be Arcane's Veiler, Shaft Stop or Guardian Angel. The shield is not a Herald of Zakarum, but a Spirit Ward. Not a commonly used shield, but it has some nice qualities. Good blocking, all resistances and a chance to cast Fate when getting hit, which adds another 50% to all resistances and 8% physical damage reduction. Just like in the helmet, I socketed IAS ED jewels in armor and shield, but you can also use pure IAS jewels for the first. The gloves are Lava Gout, which are rarely used as well, but they are the only unique gloves which add 20% increased attack speed. The level 8 enchant on hit gives an additional 83% attack rating bonus. In the belt slot, I'm using String of Ears for damage reduction and life leech, and the boots are some Gore Riders. These 2 items are not that uncommon, but they just make the most sense here. The amulet is a metal grid, which boosts our attack rating and adds even more resistances. It does not hurt to have more than needed, for example if an elite monster with Conviction aura appears, or for Übertristram. I'm also using a Manalt for Mana Leech and the Wisp Projector for Lightning Absorb. In my inventory, along with a torch and an Annie, I have some charms with life, damage and attack rating. Since the paladin isn't allowed to use CTA on the weapon switch, I gave him a Widowmaker bow, so he also can attack from distance if he likes. We are also taking along a Might Mercenary from Act 2, equipped with a Vampire Gaze with an IAS jewel, Shaft Stop with an rune and a Reaper's Toll. This casts Decreepify on hit, which slows enemies, reduces their damage and breaks physical immunities. Ideally, the mercenaries' items should be ethereal. Now let's look at some alternatives. As mentioned, Guardian Angel is also a very good armor, since it boosts the maximum resistances, but if we put it on, we'll also need to equip Ravenfrost. If running maps with many physical immune monsters, Atma's Scarab is very useful, as the Amplify damage curse also breaks immunities. Otherwise, we can also use High Lord's Wrath, which adds a good amount of Deadly Strike, +1 to all skills, and the 20% attack speed opens up more options. This allows us to use different gloves without losing speed. Steel Rend is a great choice here, or Dracul's Grasp. Or we could socket our weapon differently, maybe with a low rune for 20% Deadly Strike, or a bear rune for 20% Crushing Blow. This could be great for Uber Tristram, if you don't want to use a G-Phase as it is a set item. Another very strong weapon for Ubers is Asteron's Iron Ward. It has 33% Crushing Blow unsocketed, and it has a much faster base weapon speed than a legendary Mallet, so it requires less IAS. 40% is already enough for maximum speed. The +85 damage works similarly to Grief's extra damage, so it is applied to Smite, getting all the damage multipliers. Asteron's is also a rare trophy, which fits into the theme. Let's move on to the gameplay. Of course, this is not a meta build, but it is very safe and comfortable. You can kill all monsters in the game, and the 1800 life is okay without war cries. You'll need to be a bit careful fighting Lilith, but thanks to all the damage reduction and resistances, this paladin can take some hits. Even Souls barely hurts a paladin, thanks to the lightning absorb. The farming speed on players 1 is quite good, and the build remains effective up to players 3. Of course, higher player counts are possible as well, but it's getting tight. Uber Tristram is no problem either. 35% Crushing Blow is more than enough, and you can even go for 68% with Asteron's. And adding a G-Phase, you could get above 100%. That leads us to the end of this video. Feel free to drop a like if you enjoyed it, so I'll create more builds like this, where I use unpopular items or focus on a special theme. This paladin only uses elite eunuchs or eunuchs that have been upgraded to elite, and I could do the same for different builds in all classes. Or I could challenge myself to only use set items. There are plenty of possibilities, but for today I'll sign off. So I say goodbye, take care, and may the loot be with you.
You're too late.
I am overburdened. I am overburdened. I can't carry anymore. Come on. Follow me. Thanks. Goodbye.